Okay, I want you to picture a river. Not a natural one made of water, but an endless, completely frictionless stream of machine-generated content. You, me, everyone we know, we're all kind of just standing in it right now. In fact, we've basically learned to call standing in this river living. Today, we are diving into a truly brilliant source text. It's a collection by an author named Jiminy Cool called AlienFinger, and honestly, it's fundamentally a manifesto, cleverly disguised as a collection of sci-fi stories. It's fighting for the very survival of the human creator in a world where the default text we read is no longer actually written by anyone. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer today. We're going to start with Section 1, the river of content, and Section 2, the human fingerprint. Then we're going to look at 3 wildly different speculative fiction stories as our primary evidence. Section 3, the sky as a lid. Section 4, a conscious solar mythos. And Section 5, Earth as alien station. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with Section 6, the cost of creation.
All right, starting things off with Section 1, the river of content.
So in the author's introductory essay, which perfectly sets up the absolute stakes of this new world we've all quietly woken up in, we get introduced to the concept of the button. Our source text argues that we have arrived at the literal first moment in human history where you can push a button and language just comes out. It's competent, it's agreeable, but it is authored by absolutely no one who will ever be held responsible for it. Now, Jiminy Cool isn't entirely against the button itself, but he's deeply against the quiet swap that's happening underneath it. He argues that while the button can deliver language, it fundamentally cannot give you anything. Why? Because the button doesn't have a mortal body. It has zero to lose by generating that text, and because of that, what it produces ultimately costs nothing.
Which brings us right into Section 2, the human fingerprint.
If the machine is entirely frictionless, what exactly is the defense for human art? Well, the cover of our source material actually gives us a massive clue. You've got this glowing hand marked with completely unreadable runes reaching up out of a digital grid. The author coins this term, the humanoprint. In a world where the alien finger of AI leaves this perfectly smooth, symmetrical, average print on literally everything we consume, the humanoprint is the exact opposite. It's the dirtier, messier print. It's the scar from a frustrating, stupid afternoon of writing. It's the highly specific choice a creator made. And those unreadable runes on the wrist? They aren't real words. They represent a pulse. They're a private, deliberate contract between the creator and the reader that basically says, hey, I made this and I meant it, even if you can't perfectly translate it yet.
The contrast here is super clear. On one side, we have the infinite, frictionless button that pays no rent, and squaring off against it, we have the human author. A human is finite. Every single word costs them non-renewable time. They make choices, and crucially, this is the big one, they make deliberate, wrong steps inside a system that's literally designed to make wrong steps impossible. That friction, that deliberate, un-auto-completable weirdness, that is what makes art actually valuable.
There's this one quote from the book that just hits so hard. The button has no rent. The button has no 4 hours. The button has no last good year. Really think about that for a second. A human writer might only have, 4 good hours of deep focus in a single day. So when they agonize for 20 minutes over one sentence, that is time they will literally never get back in their mortal life. The true weight of a sentence comes from the non-renewable time it costs the author to forge it. You just cannot fake those stakes.
Let's look at some evidence. Section 3, the sky as a lid.
So what does a humanoprint actually look like out in the wild? To show you, we are shifting tones completely into a deadpan documentary-style analysis of a story from the collection called As an Escape Program. It's an analog horror setup. Imagine you look up and you realize the sky isn't an open door to space at all. It's a lid. The author introduces this terrifying concept called the viscous ionized canopy. Basically, it's a dense, non-Newtonian plasma ceiling. Because it's sheer thickening, the faster you hit it with a rocket, the harder it freezes against you. In this story, Earth is locked in a quarantine grid. The universe outside isn't empty. It actively built a cage to keep us in because humanity is just too volatile.
And this dread-inducing premise builds into just an incredible alternate history. Get this, in 1958, the Burbank Accord is signed, meaning NASA isn't founded as a space agency, it's founded as a Hollywood special effects studio to fake the cosmos, because world governments know the sky is welded shut. By 1963, the US and the Soviets realized they're both trapped in the same cage, so they secretly agree to fake the entire space race together just to keep the global public from panicking. Fast forward to the present day in the story, and the simulation is failing. Cryogenic glass is literally raining from the sky in the Gobi Desert, and humanity is sliding into a digital dark age of canopy madness as everyone slowly realizes the ceiling is coming down.
Look at this quote from the Vanguard archive leaks inside the story. "We did not lose the stars, we were never given them. We were shown a painting of them and told to be grateful for the frame." Now pull back and connect this amazing lore to our main topic. This right here, this is the exact kind of specific, horrifying metaphor the author is fighting for. An AI autocomplete model would just trend toward your standard, agreeable sci-fi space opera. It takes a wonderfully weird, mortal human mind to sit down and invent a universe where NASA is basically just Disney's dark division covering up a giant plasma ceiling.
Moving on to our next exhibit, Section 4, A Conscious Solar Mythos.
Okay, we are doing a complete 180 here, pivoting from claustrophobic analog horror to this sprawling, spiritual cosmic mythology. Gemini Cool condenses millions of years of deep world building into one beautiful idea. The sun is a conscious entity that patiently pressed its signature into the earth. During the Hadean era, it wrote its intentions into volcanic glass. In the Archean era, it used bacteria as living letters. In the Proterozoic, it literally taught the earth to blush with oxygen. And today, in our current Phanerozoic era, sentient life is basically the sun's poetry in motion. The author is reimagining biological evolution not as random chaotic chance, but as deliberate verses in a cosmic poem written by a star.
So how did humanity react to that? Well, the story frames it so that historical human civilizations unknowingly spent centuries trying to translate this solar consciousness. The Egyptians, they built the pyramids as geometric prayers to focus the sun's power. The Maya calculated the sun's complex mathematical harmonics right into their calendars. Hindus recognized the signature in the sacred geometry of mandalas. And modern science? It's framed as just humanity's continuing, unknowing attempt to translate the sun's ancient intentions. It's this incredibly beautiful, grand synthesis of human history.
And that leads us to our final story exhibit, Section 5, Earth as Alien Station. For this final exhibit, we get thrown into this wild sci-fi premise where Earth isn't a natural planet at all. It's a massive, engineered biological construct overseen by the Galactic Council of 36. Again, this level of intricate, bizarre lore is deliberate human choice at work. The author maps out these founding races, directly tying them to human myths. You've got the Anunnaki as the precise record keepers. The Pleiadians are the communicators who actively grieve for us. The Arcturians are the lead biological engineers who actually built the Earth station. The Sirians provide the scientific methodology. And the Lyrans, well, they are the key to unlocking this whole mystery.
Because here is the massive twist of the story. Humanity isn't native to Earth at all. We are a Lyran diaspora. Long ago, our ancestors were infected by something called the Nephilim virus, which totally hijacked our neurochemistry. It mutated our natural empathy into fear, tribalism, and strict hierarchy. So to heal us, the Council placed the last generation of humans into a simulated layer on top of the physical Earth station. Think about that. Our current reality, all our messy politics and endless wars, according to this story, it's just a quarantine waiting room while our species slowly heals its viral markers.
Let's tie all of this together. Section 6, The Cost of Creation. So why are we talking about alien councils and plasma skies in an explainer about AI? We need to bridge all this wild imaginative lore back to the author's opening defense of the human creator. The true value of human creation lies entirely in escaping the autocomplete. A machine didn't sit in a room wrestling with itself to invent a universe where Earth is a Lyran quarantine station. The author paid the rent of his finite, mortal time to make those deliberate, bizarre steps away from the statistical average. He forged a contract with you, the reader, promising that this strange story was worth spending your specific afternoon on.
And this brilliantly illustrates the heart of this entire explainer. Listen to this. Every object you love was made by somebody too specific to be reasonable about it. Absolutely incredible. The average of everyone has literally never once made a single thing worth keeping. True value lies in that messy, specific, utterly unrepeatable humanoid print left behind by a creator who is just mortal enough to care too much. So, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. As that river of frictionless, agreeable content continues to rise around us every single day, are you willing to step out of it? Are you willing to actively choose the smaller, harder human thing? The letter you actually take the time to write, the art that actually costs you something to make, the creator whose genuine pulse you can actually feel through the page. The choice is entirely up to you.
Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and hey, keep looking for those fingerprints.